Hello, I'm Justin Ross with Fluke Biomedical and RaySafe, and we're back with a Fluke Biomedical VT900A, VT650, and 1QA video. In this video, we're going to show you some of the highlights about how the VT900A, VT650 can interface with 1QA. So you'll also notice in the background here, we have a ventilator. So we're going to utilize this ventilator, and what I did is I went into the service manual and pulled sections of the service manual just to highlight some of the capabilities. But what you need to remember is when you're going to do this yourself, please reference your OEM service manual and make sure you're following that procedure by the book. This is only an example. This isn't a how-to video. Okay, so let's get started. So let's jump into 1QA, and the first thing I want to show you is I have connected not only my VT900A, but also my ESA614, and you can see that up here by these two icons. So this is great. So now I can automatically pull that data in. Another really awesome feature about this is I don't even have to know how to run my VT900A or ESA614. The program is going to do it for me. So my entire interface so far has been turning the unit on, connecting the USB cable to my PC, and then setting up my patient tubes and my Acculung 2 for my test lung. Alright, let's jump into that performance evaluation procedure. We'll hit run. And since we're not using a CMMS platform, what we're going to have to do is we'll enter our work order ID. And this is just a number we're going to make up for the work order for today. So let's just call this test work order 123. Good enough. Now we'll scroll down and we'll see the asset ID. This is the serial number of the ventilator, test 1289. And I should also point up here at the very top under test activity is the date, the start time, and the operator who's performing this test. It's kind of like an electronic signature because I had to log in with my password. That way we know that it was me performing this test. Now, the next exciting part for me right here is the information of the devices we're using. So I like to record the devices I'm testing with in case I ever have an issue and I find out that once something was out of calibration or broke, I can go back and see which work orders I'd been doing. So here it is. It's the VT900A, the serial number, the firmware number, and the date it was calibrated, as well as my ESA614, the serial number, the firmware number, and the date it was calibrated. Automatically recorded into the work order. I didn't have to do it, so that way I didn't have to worry about forgetting it. Alright, so now we're going to move into the test. In this test, I'm going to do the safety valve check. And what I did here is I went into the service manual, and I actually cut this context out of the service manual and pasted it into my work order. So it is verbatim in this service manual what to do. So let's go ahead and try this. Alright, I'm going to get into the service mode. Alright, now I'm going to follow the instructions that I put in here. Attach the ventilator test tubing between the inspiratory and expiratory ports. Done. On the service home screen, press the air PSOL button using a rotary knob. Adjust the air PSOL voltage so the airflow displayed value is 3.0 liters plus or minus 1 liter per minute. Confirm the setting by pressing on the rotary encoder. Okay, so that's a lot. So what I did is I went back to the service manual and I grabbed a graphic showing right here where these buttons are at. So here's my air PSOL and here's my flow, and I got that by looking at the graphic I pulled off of the service manual. So I'm going to go down to my air PSOL and I'm going to adjust this until I have 3.0 plus or minus 1 liters per minute on my airflow. And I practice this so I know round about where I need to be to accomplish that. 2.6, we're right in spec there. Now the next step, press the expiratory PSOL 1 button using a rotary encoder knob. Adjust the setting to 2.5 volts. So where's that at? Here it is, right here, and we got to take this to 2.5 volts. Rolling, rolling, rolling. And just, there we go. Push the knob. And now I'm going to look under my P1 INSP here and my P2X here and make sure that it's greater than 100 centimeters of water. 134.9. I have to wait for 10 seconds, I guess. All right, still 135. So we'll put that here. And I get to hand enter these results because I'm reading it from here and entering it into here. All right, and I'll push enter. And now the next step, press the air P-SAW button using the rotary encoder knob. Adjust the air P-SAW voltage to 0. All right, air P-SAW. Adjust this down to 0. And in my next step, confirm that after 10 seconds, P1 INSP and P2 XL displayed pressure remain greater than 90 centimeters of water. Record the results. So we'll give it 10 seconds. Okay, and we're at 118. 118, so put that in here. 18, and enter. So there, that's how easy it was to do a manual entry. That's one function of OneQA. Now let's move into where we're going to automate the VT900A or VT650 with the next step. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this. And we'll take our values back to 0. And power off. And we're going to go ahead and come back in. Now, our next step, actually are some pass-fail steps. So instead of just doing pass-fail, what I did is I took the pass and I made the pass result exact verbatim wording of what was in the manual. So 3.0 AC power indicator and power on indicator. Confirm that the ventilator is connected to AC power. So I can either fail it or pass it. AC power indicator is lit on the front of the BDU. Right there, yes it is. So pass, green light. Green is go, we're going to move to the next step. Power on, indicator check. Press the on off button on the ventilator to on. So here we go, we'll press on. And confirm the blue on indicator is lit and the startup screen is displayed. There we go, and it's blue. So it's pass. Another green light, we're moving on. All right, now we skipped a few sections. We're at section 10 because I want to highlight this capability of this VT900A. So here we go. We're going to do a volume control. And the first thing I always like to do is zero out my VT900A. I want to make sure that my pressures are zeroed. You know, I might have gone into a different OR that's under a different pressure, or in a biomed shop and it was zeroed in the OR. So the first thing I always do is zero my meter. So I'm going to disconnect my breathing circuit for a second. And I'm not going to touch this. I don't have to worry about where the screen is on the VT900A. I'm simply going to follow OneQA and I'm going to press 0 all, the next button. Now, OneQA has taken over my VT900A, and you might see on the screen it says remote control mode, and I'm doing nothing, and OneQA just zeroed the VT900A. It was that easy. I didn't have to know which screen to go to, which button to press. I just had to press the button on OneQA. This is the beauty of OneQA. You have to set it up one time, and then just about any technician can run it for you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and connect my breathing circuit back up. Here we go. And I'm going to follow my instructions and set up the following settings on my ventilator. Also connect my breathing circuit to my ventilator here. So here we go. There's this. And there's this. And as I'm setting this up, something I need to make a point of. Make sure that you're running your airflow correctly through your VT900A. So I have my breathing circuit going to the airflow inlet, and I have my test lung on the flow exhaust. If you do this backwards, some of your readings will be off. So make sure your flow is going correct. I also want to point out while I'm here, you notice that I have a pre-filter. You always put a filter between your breathing circuit and the VT900A or your VT650. You want to protect the parts of your VT900A and your VT650. So that filter is a key thing to have in there. All right, back to the settings. Again, I went to the manual and I cut this right out of the manual and pasted it right into my work order one time. So I want mode A/CMV VC. A/C's VM, that's VC, good. VT 300, perfect. TI 1.0, great. Respirations 15. PEEP 5. FiO2 21. F-Trig 1.5, good. And we want a square waveform, good. And we are ready to ventilate. So I'm going to go ahead and push start ventilation. And there we go. So I followed my instructions, and now this is running. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and press the play button down here in the bottom of 1QA. Again, I am touching nothing on the VT900A. Press again to get to the next step. Now it's in remote control mode. I didn't have to set up anything. I didn't have to put the correction factor in. I didn't have to tell it that we're using air only. I didn't have to tell it adult. I didn't have to tell the trigger. All of that was programmed into my work order once. So again, those technicians who might not have all the experience and not know all those settings, this is a great feature at 1QA. They didn't have to worry about it. They just had to follow the instructions here, push the button, VT900A is under control of the computer. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's make sure that my readings are stabilized. 5 and 5, respirations 15, 15, VT 285, swell and tolerance. The only thing I do now is push the camera button, store measurement. So here's my results. It captured. Again, I did not touch the VT900A. Let's move to the next step. So now we need a respiration rate of 20. Now I'm not going to do this because I want to show you something. I'm not going to adjust my respiration rate because, you know, I might be tired or busy and I'm not paying attention. Let's just go ahead and take that snapshot. Uh-oh. There's a red X. Remember, green means go. Red X, something's wrong. Okay, hold on. Let's go back and see what I did wrong. All right, my PEEP's supposed to be set at 0, and my breath rate was supposed to go to 20. Do I have to start my workout over again? No. I just simply go back up to that line and reselect that line. Now let's go ahead and adjust that. So my respiration rate was supposed to be to 20, and my PEEP to 0. There we go. Let's give it a few breaths to stabilize. Now we have a green and we're moving on. Again, this is the beauty of 1QA, because if mistakes are made, you can catch them. If something's not right, go back and look where you're at. I had a setting wrong. I didn't let it stabilize long enough. Okay, moving on. The next step. My PEEP goes to 10. So we'll take this up to 10. And my respiration rate or breath rate is going to go to 10. There we go. Give this a few minutes to stabilize. And I can see right here my PEEP is at 10, 8.7. My breath rate's at 10. My VTI is at 280, so it's in spec. I'm going to give this a few more breaths to stabilize. Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful readings. Okay. Hit the store measurement button. And I didn't touch anything. This is great. All right, so now I'm going to move to the FiO2. Now to do that, I'm going to be adjusting the oxygen rates of my ventilator. So normally I'd have to go into my VT900A and tell I'm no longer going to be using room air. I want to be using oxygen as my gas. But I programmed this into 1QA, so I don't have to do that. If I scroll down here a little bit, right here you can see it. The gas is O2 oxygen. The correction factor is ATP. Your technician doesn't need to do it. It's already programmed. So we're at 21%. My reading is 21%. I'm good. Take my measurement. Perfect. Now 40%. So I'm going to run this up to 40. And enter. Give this a few minutes. Takes a little bit of time. You got to get all that oxygen through the system and stabilize it out. So we're at 22. There we go. Now it's running 25. few more breaths here and we'll be stable. 32. So this is also great times. People are saying, well, you know what, I have to wait for the machine. You're right, you'd be waiting for it anyways, but this is a great time to take advantage of maybe cleaning it up and getting your sticker ready. All those things, your hands are now free to do while the machine and 1QA are running and doing their thing. All right, we're at 36.4. A few more breaths and we should be near 40. 37. All right, now we're stable. 39. We're going to go ahead and take our store measurement, and we're good. Green light means go. We're going to go to 60. Let's run this up to 60. I'm going to run my breaths up to 20 to help speed this process along. I'm going to drop my PEEP way down so that we exchange more air. Okay, so we're at 60. We're reading on 1QA 57.7, 58, 59. Oh, we're gonna hit 60 on the money. 59.5. We're stable. Store that measurement, and the next one is 100. So we'll take our O2 to 100. There we go. And again, the beauty of 1QA is I didn't have to know which port to connect it to. 1QA told me which port to connect to. I didn't know had to worry about which settings. 1QA took care of it for me. Everything was done. It walked me right through it. And if I still had questions, if I still had a part where my technician was tripping up, I can always take pictures and insert the pictures into it. You saw that at the very beginning where we took a picture of our ventilator and stuck it into the work order, so we knew exactly which ventilator we were working on today. It's beautiful. Hints, notes, things that you might need to take, all that can be inserted into 1QA. All right, so we have set at 100. We're at 99.65. Give it 2-3 more breaths. All right, there we go. We're at 100 and stable. And we're done. It was that easy to do my measurements. I didn't have to worry about transposing a number. I didn't have to worry about the staff distracting me and me forgetting a step. As I look up 1QA, all my steps so far are green. That means everything has passed and I can move on. It's perfect. Love this. It's so easy to use. All right, so what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm just going to go ahead and shut off the ventilator and discharge this patient because we're going to move into our electrical safety tests. So let's just do this. And we're going to go to standby. Yes. Okay, so I discharged my patient. Now I'm going to move into electrical safety. And again, watch how many buttons I have to press on my ESA 614. A little hint, it's 0. Okay, so moving into my electrical safety, here's a description of what I need to do, the tests. And I'm going to move into my first test here, which is the mains voltage. So I've already plugged my ESA 614 into the wall. Push the go button. And there it is. All of my results have automatically been recorded. Green light means go. I'm good to move on to that next step. Now, protective earth resistance. All right, let's see what it says. Hit play. Connect the test lead. So it's telling me what to do. I need to connect my test lead to the null pin and zero it out. All right, simple enough. Well, I left my test pin back here. So let's just grab my test lead, connect it to the null pin, like it said, and press 0. Done. Now I'm going to connect it, follow those instructions again. Test lead zeroing successful. Connected test lead from the red 2-wire VA ohm amperage jack to an accessible earth conductive point on the assets enclosure and click continue. I'm not going to tell you where that point's at. I'm just grabbing a point just for demonstration purposes of this video. But again, you would need to follow your service manual. And we're going to go ahead and press continue. Now watch. Oh, it didn't like the measurement. It was out of range. Oh, it doesn't like that point. Let's find another point. Not a big deal. Oh, I love, there we go. I really like the alligator clip on the ESAs because it's got that extra tooth at the tip, which lets you get a hold of things. Oh, hey, you know what? I know why my test isn't passing. Thought something didn't seem right. Here we go. Again, now, most people say, well, you made a mistake. But did I? Because what I was showing is that I couldn't complete that step with the results. I had to go back and see what I was doing wrong. I forgot to plug it into the ESA. I was busy talking to you and not paying attention, so here we go. We'll plug this into the ESA. There we go. And now let's repeat that measurement one more time. And we got a passing result. So if you're in that real world scenario where you're busy, you're on the floor, the nurses and staff are asking you questions, and you don't have to worry about forgetting a step, it took care of it for me. Perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to do the touch current. Now, there's a bit of setup that needs to be done for this, but that's not the point today. We're not going to talk about how to do the touch current. We're just recording numbers. So we're going to follow the instructions. We're going to push go. Okay, it's halt before power on. Continue. Got my answers. As long as I follow what's on the screen, it's going to record the answers for me. I'm not turning on the polarity. I'm not opening the neutral. I'm not opening the ground. It's doing it all. And I haven't had to touch the ESA 614 since I put the ground pin on there and then plugged it in. All right, halt before power off. Now you don't see this powering off, and the reason you don't see the ventilator powering off because it has a backup power supply and it's staying on that. There we go. And the last one. Uh-oh. It failed. So what would that look like? So I have a screen on here that says halt on test failure. I set this up so if the test failed, it wouldn't let me progress. So what I'm going to actually do, just to show you what it would look like on here, is I'm going to hit continue. And you'll now see where I have all my green lights all the way down the side. Green is go. I have one failing result. Alright, well, just to make this green, we're going to retest this. And what I'll do is we're going to kind of cheat the system a little bit, just to show you what a passing work order will look like. Okay, continue. So this is where I would go back through and have to correct the device or correct my machine, make sure my standards are right. I might be using an old outdated standard or wrong number. That this is perfect. It called my attention immediately to my mistake. Big red X. Time to stop. You got to fix something. There we go. And we're going to hit done. Halt before power off. Continue. And that was it. Now it's going to go ahead and save and close my work order. And we'll pick back up with that on the 1QA videos. But I just want to show you, look how easy that was. I didn't have to know how to run my 614. I didn't have to know how to run my VT900A. I didn't even have to know how to do the PM. I just followed the instructions on 1QA. Hey, thank you very much, and we'll see you in our next video.